talking about helping. We're talking about helping a lot of people here. Let me add Rodger to the call here. So Rodger's background is he worked for NASA, Gene, and also the Pentagon in the past. One second, he's calling him right now. He should be available. There we go. Perfect. So good morning, Rodger. I was explaining to Dr. Gene here that you're the first, he's the first person I've ever brought on the phone with you before. Dr. Rodger, meet Dr. Gene Anthony. He's down in Dominican Republic. He works a lot with autism children, families of autism children. He can explain the procedure, what he does, the stem cells, and then we can discuss the science a little bit more. I had a nice conversation. Gene, meet Rodger Hill, our CEO of MoreMito.
Well, good morning to you, sir. Great to see. Are you over in Washington? Where are you?
I am just outside of D.C. and Maryland.
Oh, you're in D.C.? Okay. Wow. We got a round-the-world phone call, like international ping pong. That's great.
Yeah, great to meet you.
Well, I would be very interested. What we do is adult stem cell therapy, or we use umbilical stem cells derived from umbilical cords of live babies, born alive, nothing to do with abortion. And we've seen some amazing results, but it's difficult for all parents to get down here. We're in the Dominican Republic. And so when Ryan called me, I was very interested. And if you could tell me more about your experiences, I don't need double-blind studies and all that. You could just tell me personally what you've seen and how this is working,
Dr. Gene, before we get into that, if you could explain to our CEO the procedure that I had, and when you met me down in the Dominican Republic, I was you could tell I had some mental issues, probably a little bit. Yes.
Right. Well, we use at that time we're using taking out bone marrow and adipose tissue or fat, and processing that, and then reintroducing the stem cells. That can be done systemically, or it can be done through the femoral artery or arm, and it goes directly into the brain. And so for severe neurological issues or neurological issues per se, that can be done. We have now introduced umbilical stem cells as well, and seen some amazing results. Aphasia kids who never spoke, talking, but nevertheless, I am definitely looking for something else. We're looking particularly at schizophrenia and any neuropsychiatric conditions. I don't know if this works for that or not.
Yes, Dr. Gene, also real quick. So when I went down to Dominican Republic, you guys took, I recall you had me on ketamine. You extracted the bone marrow out of I didn't know you were going to put me on ketamine. That was fun, by the way. You extracted the bone marrow out. You got the stem cells. You put a wire up through my vein all the way in, and I felt the stem cells actually shoot onto my brain. I was actually surprised that I could, because I watched them as that was happening, the stem cells being shot on my brain. Can you just comment to Rodger? I mean, do you remember the mental condition that I was in at the time 4 years ago?
Well, perhaps, you know how to compose yourself well, but I mean, you didn't seem at that time particularly off the wall or anything like that. I mean, you described your conditions, but to be honest, I remember you looking, pretty balanced at the time, a little anxious. But
yeah, there you go.
I would go by your feelings at the time, because it wasn't like you were agitated or moving or trembling or acting hyper or anything like that. You just acted sort of normally, but concerned about issues you were facing, and I wanted to help you any way I could.
Thank you. Okay, Rodger, go ahead and share some good information.
So the approach that we've been taking to wellness has to do with.
It's hard to hear you, Rodger. Can you speak up a little, please?
Yeah, I'll get closer to the microphone. Is this any better?
Maybe a little bit.
I noticed it lately for whatever reason. WhatsApp regardless, So let's see if I can adjust the gain on my microphone.
Yeah, it's still difficult to hear you.
Okay. Hold on, I'll adjust my microphone. Hold on.
Yeah, thank you, Gene.
Sure.
Okay, I turned my gain all the way up. Is that any better?
Not really, but go ahead.
I'm listening with my ear close to the little loudspeaker on my phone.
Okay, so do you have a U.S. number? Can you call into the U.S.? Maybe we should take them to our conference call line.
It's okay, Roger. We can hear you fine right now. Go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So back in 2015, I met my current partner, Dr. Bevan Elliott, who was researching stem cells and had mitochondria, and had a product at that time. And the point of it is to regrow mitochondria. Now, that is as opposed to feed mitochondria, help mitochondria out. All that stuff is fine, but you don't get changes in a person's trajectory of their health totally unless you regrow mitochondria. You may know this already that
you go ahead. You talk to me like I'm a newbie. That's fine. No problem at all.
But people start out with a lot of mitochondria like in elementary school, and then they just like everything else, after a point they start to decline rapidly. By the time you're 80 or 90, it'll be down about 5 or 10%. It's pretty clear that nothing works better on that drastic a decline in energy or anything. I mean, if you go in someone's house, start turning down any current, obviously the lights go dim and the appliances are going to fail. So there's a similar analogy with how this works in your body. So let's say someone's in the middle, got half of it left. Well, if you look at where mitochondria are concentrated, they're in your major organs, they're in your liver, your kidneys, there's all those places. But the highest concentration are actually in your heart, your brain, and your eyes. So what we started seeing is people coming to us telling us, for example, how much better they see. And that correlates with the fact that eyes have the absolute most mitochondria. Those cones that rise in eyes are really expensive when it comes to energy. So we just saw this across all the organs. And then about 2019, we redid our product line for the product we have right now because we wanted to touch every organ system, building on what we already do and what we had already seen. And just so you know how this technology is ensconced in a physical product. We use a base of olive oil, and we internationally sourced. We can't buy this stuff from grocery stores. And black seed oil is a total of 44 ingredients in that product altogether. They're not what makes the biggest difference. But my partner, Dr. Elliott, made a real breakthrough in it, is actually getting those delivered into the cell, and even more importantly, into the mitochondria itself. We know they're thousands of times smaller than cells are. So that process, by the way, takes 2 months. We run that process on our product 2 months before we send it out. And what we've got at the end of that is tremendously amplified benefits out of ingredients that are available to everybody else. And Devin, my partner, I look at it like this. It's like, I call them the mitochondrial whispers. These formulations actually talk to the mitochondria part of the brain as evidenced by what we see. Now, what do we see? If you look at the organ results, people come to us. We've learned, and I don't know that we anticipated all of this. We just saw it happening because it's kind of like too much to wish for. People coming to us with kidney failure, heart failure. You got one person that had kidney and heart failure at the same time. And after they start with our technology, it reverses. Take like hearts in particular. You may know this. They measure this by like ejection fraction. What percent of your blood gets pumped out every time your heart beats. And it should be 50 to 70% or something like that. But if it's below, let's say 40 to 50, you got a heart problem. If it's below 40, you got a heart crisis. If it's between 30 and 40, or 20 and 30 rather, they're going to give you like 5 years to live. So we were just having people come back to us who are all the way down in that 20 to 30 range and seeing it reverse. So we come all the way back to normal in that time. So there's many other stories like that. Let me get closer to what your field with autism. The first time we saw this result in children was in autistic children. I'm sorry, with children born with cerebral palsy. They're never expected to walk. They're never expected to fully develop. And we had our first person in Philadelphia, for example. That young man, I see him, he's like in his 20s. He's walking with hand crutches. His feet splay out to the side 180 degrees. Nobody's ever going to think this kid's going to ever walk. But he did. He's running, actually. She had another young lady, a 17-year-old, and her mother described me. She lives in California. Described me as a 17-year-old baby. Said that she has to attend to all this child's personal care needs. She can't give herself a bath. She can't do anything. Okay. Well, fast forward months later, she's calling me back, telling me that child is now taking college courses. So this is extraordinary.
Wow.
And then we started hearing from people who have autistic children. And the regular I see on the line with us right now, one of the people that he's associated with, Sonia, her grandson is autistic, and he's 12 years old, and he's not been able to tie his own shoes at 12. So one day she says he's playing with his puppy and bumped his head somehow. And so she texts our topical called Rejuvenate. You know, Bevan actually originally created that because he said nobody had ever come up with something to cure sunburn. But we quickly found out that stuff penetrates all the way to the bone. So people have discomfort issues in their joints, muscles, tendons, ligaments, or they have neuropathy, that kind of thing. Wow, it's like constant. So anyway, back to the autistic child. That's why she used it on his head, because it hurt his head, right? So the next day, after she does this child who's never been able to tie his shoes, he's in a program where they evaluate him every day, 5 days a week. But the next day, tie his shoes.
Wow.
Right? And these other tests they were giving him that maybe he would pass one day, but not retain it. He failed, and that, he couldn't consistently retain the stuff they were teaching. He started retaining it. And so they heard from that. We put that on we have these health and wellness calls every week, Saturday and Monday night. So people were hearing this. They started referring their folks that they knew that had autistic children and adults. And we're getting this. Here's the picture that's starting to emerge. Let's take one gentleman. He's like in his 50s now. He was never engaged. They have difficulty making eye contact with people. They live in a much smaller box, right, than everybody else does. And he's becoming outgoing. He's getting in conversations. He's becoming opinionated. All these things are happening to him as he's evolved. And this is kind of what's happening across all of them. We're seeing that, particularly like the vocal skills, being, again, reluctant to engage in conversation and that kind of thing. So let me pause right here. You can ask me any question you want, but that's what we're starting to see.
Yeah, I got that about you. What about psychiatric disorders like bipolar or schizophrenia, paranoia?
I can't say that we've had a lot of those, but I'll tell you what we've seen in general. We've seen behavioral changes in people. We've got a lot of soldiers that come back from war zones and they're using our product. And let's talk PTSD for a moment. Some of them have all those. They're paranoid and all of that. They're fearful, all those kinds of things. I'll give you one of our best examples. There was one soldier that's 60 years ago. He had a really bad parachute jump. Parachute fails. He knows he's going to die. He says he actually passed out before he drowned. So he wakes up, he thinks he is dead. So he's trying to figure out if he didn't happen, why does everything look the same as it did on Earth? But bottom line is that, today he lives in the D.C. area near Andrews Air Force Base. That's where the President Parkinson Air Force One. But anyway, he's where he hears planes coming from that Air Force Base. And he said that because of that jump, if a plane comes over, that panic that seized him, he would run back in his house and hide under the bed. Yeah. 2 weeks into taking our stuff, that was broken. And I asked him, I said, well, what would you do right now if the plane, you walked out of your house and the plane flew over? He said, well, I salute the plane and keep walking, but it doesn't have any control on me. So that happened. And then I said, well, what have other people noticed? And I wanted to see what other people saw. He said, changed because he goes to work out at a community center not far. And the lady that works on the desk, they see him come and go every day working on that stuff. She stopped him one day and engaged in a conversation and said, "Hey, what's happening with you?" She was noticing that he wasn't slouching, and he walked around looking furtive and that kind of thing, like someone who's being persecuted or hunted or something like that. So we see that kind of thing. We need more people to try who are paranoid schizophrenics, and let's just see what happens. But we're really encouraged with what we've seen so far with various psychological disorders coming out of that population.
That's wonderful news. Let me ask you a question. Is this something that needs to be continued for life, or how does that work?
Okay, so let's put it in the context of food. If you had all this stuff in your food, and somehow or another could get the equivalent of this technology that Devin developed, you would consume it all your life, wouldn't you? If you're not going to
clearly.
Okay. So on the one hand, on the other hand, and let me digress. Let me go back to the mitochondria standpoint. If your car is constantly losing power, and you have something to stop that process or dramatically slow that process down, when would you want to stop doing that? See what I'm saying? So you don't have to, but it certainly makes sense to, because you're going to go right back to losing mitochondria the way you did before. Like the signals, as we age, the signals that were being sent to tell your mitochondria to grow and maintain themselves all weighed like everything else in age. So by us sending analogs of those signals to your cells that they actually receive and respond to, then we've interrupted that process. So that's the context that I will put my answer.
And have you seen kids who are basically what we used to say mute or aphasic talking? That's pretty much a holy grail with autism and these neurologically developments that they challenge kids. Are we seeing any speech?
Yes. Well, the first child, we're talking about not communicating verbally at all, starting to communicate more verbally.
Exactly.
It's on a spectrum, right? It's on a spectrum. Some of them do talk more than others, okay? But at whatever level of speech they're at, they're far more limited than a normal person. So far, each one of these parents are reporting progress.
They're what?
They're reporting progress, meaning they're speaking more.
Okay, got it. Yes, got it. I just was fuzzy line. Yeah, sure.
Well, and I can attest that this, from one dose, I feel like my brain completely came back online. After I took this product for the first time, I was laying on the couch, Gene, and all of a sudden, inner peace came over me that I had not felt in 26 years. I felt it go through my head, through my whole entire body. I was laying horizontal on my couch, and I said, "What in the world is going on here?" Once that happened right there, self-love came to me for the first time in 26 years. I had dissociation identity disorder because of the documented 5 brain scans that I have fully documented at the Amen Clinic, showing it, which you attest to. You saw my brain scans, Dr. Gene, of frontal temporal lobe dementia. And I swear, if I go take a brain scan now by those guys, which I'm trying to do in the next 6 weeks, I'm going to completely show completely flawless brain, and everyone sees it in me right now. You spoke to me on video last night, Dr. Gene. How did I appear on video?
Great, fine. I mean, young and vibrant and full of energy and life. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm just curious, Dr. Gene, how many stem cells did you inject into my brain?
I would have to look. I would say in the hundreds of millions.
So I have a question for you, Rodger. If I injected extra stem cells into my brain, from your experience, what do you think would happen if we're activating the mitochondria of hundreds of millions?
So
yes.
I don't really know to be my honest answer. It's just something we'd have to find out. I just know that what you're what you're reporting is the same thing other people report. I've come to call it emotional intelligence. Because I'm seeing it in everybody, including myself. Like, you become a more effective person because you manage emotions way better.
Yes.
So like, let's say you're in a conversation with somebody and it's like you got to bring up a difficult subject and you're groping for the right way to say it. You may be second guessing yourself, or that goes away. Let's say you got things you need, people that are procrastinating. I just got a call from a guy the other night who said that, it was a lady. She said that her biggest problem is that she has all this stuff she knows she needs to do, and she is doing it so aggressively that she has a hard time shutting herself down. She'll wake up in the middle of the night and want to go back to bed. So my advice to her was take it earlier in the day. So that by the time you go to sleep, you don't have all this mental and physical energy, raging for you to do stuff. So that barrier between thought and action, I can tell you goes way down.
Rodger, what I like to add to that is I actually say this product increases free will. Okay. What I mean by that is like what you're saying, if you're in a conversation, you may want to handle the situation a certain way instead of being triggered or, come across abrasive, as they're having a conversation. But you're like, but you react in a way that is not how you wanted to react. If you could slow the process down and actually be in the moment to address the situation, just like I'm speaking to you all right now. It's like
there's a buffer between you and what might be more of a knee-jerk response to things. And you get a chance to process and you get a chance to be more in the moment rather than just react.
It's kind of like in The Matrix, the movie, where everything slows down and everyone around is just kind of frozen and you're able to just take it all in.
And I had a question for you, Rodger. Just speaking, so I looked at the label and I see like 50 different ingredients. Yeah. And in my mind, and I'm not being critical, I'm just asking, it looks like how can you're just getting such a minuscule amount, almost like a trace amount of each one, because you can only fit so much in a little few drops. So that I thought, it's like you put everything in there but the kitchen sink. But how can such a minuscule amount of each one work? And what does this actually do? I mean, just tell me in simple, I don't need a biochemical explanation, but so that's number one. How so many do it? And then what does it actually do?
Okay, so I'll put this in a little bit of historical context. When we started working together, Devin would use maybe say 1/10 of what typical formulators would use in their product. And this generation, it's the ratio because of the efficiency of this. We call it SDS, that's the exponential delivery system. The newest delivery system that he developed 2019. It's so efficient at actually delivering things into cells where he wants them to go that we don't need much of it. When we were talking about the formulation of what we wanted to do, at some point he asked me, what do you think we should focus on? I said, well, a big problem in nutraceuticals is even if it's working, often people don't know it's working. And if they don't see some indication that it is working in that first month, then we got to work. So we have to have some indication that this is working. I gave you an example of that shampoo commercial some time ago with him. I say, your hair is tingling. So he probably put something in there just to make it tingle. It had nothing to do with your hair. So he said, okay, so we'll focus on emotional stuff too. Okay, great. So the very first time we put the product out, I'll never forget this, on Monday, and the people had only got it between Friday and that day. And the people who came on that call were talking about how relaxed they were. One lady said she was planning on starting a fight with her husband that day, and she couldn't do it. She was just way too relaxed. Okay, I'm going to get to your percentage question in a minute. Just stay with me. So I come back to them and I report that to him and said, man, we got validation that this emotional thing, we want to have people happier and more resistant to negative effects of stress. That's working. You know, but all these folks are starting to show up with this. So what did you put in there? He used a citrus essential oil. A citrus essential oil. I've never heard of anybody getting that kind of result from taking some of that. How much did you put in there? And the amount he told me was like so small, it was ridiculous. So now we know that not only can we affect people with these ingredients in ways that are at levels at which we hadn't seen before, but the amounts are tiny. Like you look on that ingredient label, for example, CoQ10. You're talking about hundreds of milligrams in a typical situation. We're using like homeopathy. So that's just a function of the efficiency of that XDS process that we organize the molecules of all these ingredients so they actually do efficiently get into the cell.
Wow.
So, wow. By the way, and I'm sure you already know this, but you're extremely articulate and very credible. I mean, just your whole manner of speaking, I thought this guy really knows what he's talking about.
It's because
so
he's on the product. He's on the product.
Well, I think he's got some natural talents and abilities without the magic potion. That much else. So, yeah. Well, what does it actually do when it gets in? Does it go to the mitochondria that are dead and then get new ones? Does it re-stimulate what are sort of leaking, and then filling it with? Does it create new ATP? What does it do?
Okay, so here's the deal. Let's just focus on how mitochondria function and maintain themselves normal. Okay. They maintain themselves by fission and fusion. Fission multiplying themselves. Fusion, they actually bond together, and one mitochondria will take components from a weaker mitochondria. That weaker mitochondria will get tagged by an enzyme to be recycled. That's what normally happens. Now, when you're under oxidative stress, all that kind of stuff going on, people call aging, all those things got to break down. So you end up with weaker mitochondria and fewer mitochondria. Now, by replacing those signals with analogs, and also it's like a two-step process. Yes, we have to grow them back. We also have to create a better environment for the cells. Because normally, like your antioxidant protection when you're younger is much higher than it is when you're older. And that's what protects you. Because the natural process of producing energy in the electron transport chain produces free radicals. And your body produces antioxidants to negate them. Okay? So we've got to turn up everything. But fortunately, this is kind of the elegance of this approach. When you turn up mitochondria, you just turned up everything. Now, how does that work? Well, you can see if you look at the DNA of mitochondria. If you look at the DNA of mitochondria, only a tiny fraction of that DNA is involved in energy production. Kind of begs the question, what's the rest of it doing, right? Well, here's what the rest is doing. It's like driving all the critical cellular processes that you have. To give you another example, I often wondered for years, how do stem cells figure out where they're supposed to go to repair what needs to be repaired? How do they figure that out? I mean, like, the notion that this is random, it just kind of wander around your body and bump into somewhere that needs to be repaired, just never made sense. So, here's what I found out. Stem cells are actually summoned by healthy mitochondria. So now, if you're aging and you have left, say, half your mitochondria left, then that signal to attack stem cells, which is going to help you repair yourself, is gone down too. Now let's reverse that. Let's turn that around. Let's cause your mitochondria that can be recycled to get recycled, get out of here. Let's take the ones that can be rebuilt, rebuild those, and then let's add more. And there we go. And these things are known. I'll give you one. PQQ. PQQ is an ingredient we had in our first generation product, right? A product called Perform. And it has been clinically shown to grow mitochondria. Now, I'll also tell you, I've taken that product by itself and just seen absolutely nothing. and that ingredient, that product, and we get nothing out of it. But when Devin gets through reorganizing these molecules and delivering it, amazing things happen. That's thing one, his thing too. And our current product, you won't even see it. That there are actually natural ingredients in olive oil, in flaxseed oil, in other things that also affect mitochondria. It's just that we're potentiating all of them right now, apparently, based on the result, in a way that was never happening before. So you get your mitochondria getting healthier populations and more of them. That's my understanding of it.
Okay. Well, anything with MS or ALS or these type of,
Let's talk about MS for a moment. It's a tough one, right? You got the autoimmune disease that's just eating away at your nerves. We had a lady a few months ago, and she was in 24/7 pain. She has to be medicated all the time. And even at that, she said when she slept at night, she'd be waking up periodically through the night because of the shooting pains that medications couldn't get. So she gets on our stuff, and she uses the rejuvenate on those specific areas that she had the most pain, rejuvenate being on top of it.
Now, she put this on topically or is she drinking it?
No, one product you drink, restore. If you take put it on your tongue, that's practice. And the rejuvenate you put on your skin. And like I said, it doesn't just penetrate your skin, it'll go all the way to the bone. Now,
okay.
So she puts the rejuvenate on those areas. And when I talked, she said, well, yesterday, I already went 12 hours not needing the medication. But then I started doing the best practice, which is take some of the restore, put it on your skin first, and then put the rejuvenate on top. Now the difference is that the XDS package in rejuvenate, the topical, is transdermal, designed to carry nutrition through the skin, right? So when you put on the restore first and you put the rejuvenate on top of it, it's like restore, but you normally take internally and hitching a ride with the rejuvenate and driving in. Okay. So she does that, and I'm talking to her, and she says it's already been more than 24 hours. She's still not feeling any pain and really need to take that medication. Okay. And
that's huge.
Right? And then she shocks me. She said, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm blind. You're blind? Okay. And then I studied and said that's the consequence, right? If you damage the optic nerve, then you can sight. And then she turns and said, I can actually see, I think his name was Rob, across the room right now. I mean, I can't see him, but I see the outline of him. And that eye that she's talking about was completely dark. So not only did her feeling back, but her eyes popped, literally speaking, right? Which is, we've seen versions of that. So yeah, you got some multiple sclerosis, give this stuff a try.
Roger,
anything with ALS, I mean, that's, makes MS, ALS makes MS look like a cakewalk. Have you heard of anything about that?
I don't think I have a specific example yet. We'd love somebody really to try it.
You got to try it fast because they die like flies. Yeah, I know.
So I'll just inject this. It's like, we are learning from people who try this on different things. And since we have more and more people, we get more and more
sure
of different things. So that's kind of what's happening.
Now, with autistic kids, are they becoming less agitated, more social? What type of things are the parents saying they're seeing?
So they're becoming, I'm going to use the word more engaged. And I caution all of them because the very first parent that we had of autistic child in Wisconsin, a good friend of mine, I know the child, I've been to the child. They were happy that he started to evolve and things like that. But when these children start incorporating new behavior, it's stressful on the parents too, right? I mean, he started out with not wanting to change his clothes, right? He wanted to wear the same shirt, the same pair of pants, same color, and they couldn't get him to switch off to something else. They had to keep buying the same thing. So when he started with our stuff, he evolved to the point where he could do that. Then, he could take it, wear a red shirt or green shirt or whatever shirt it was involved. But it's like the changes for them were coming too fast. So when we got the next parent, I said, you might want to go slowly. Give him a fraction of the dose you give anybody else or a regular person. And let's just see, so you can kind of meter it, and pay off and see. So that's where we are now.
Wow.
Dr. Gene, I remember when I was in your hospital down in Dominican Republic, I mean, I felt like I was going into a loony factory because there was, no offense whatsoever. There was children in that room with autism. And I remember, because that was the first time I've been around multiple people with autism, I remember seeing their families around them, and they were waiting for the procedure of the stem cells. And I mean, these children, from smashing their head or, biting the seats, of cars or whatever, like they're difficult to maintain, right?
Right.
So, yes.
Let me ask you a question. You seen anything, I don't know what your position is, but there seems to be a lot of damage from the COVID so-called vaccine, a lot of myocarditis, turbo cancers, people dying of heart attacks. Have you had anybody who's used this product for post-vaccine complications?
Yeah. I mean, that's so common, right?
Yeah.
So let's put this in a mitochondria context. What do viruses do? Well, they slave your mitochondria to produce energy for their replication. They want to crank out 1 million copies of themselves inside even one of your cells. So you're suffering from extreme energy deprivation at the cellular level. You got a really virulent infection like that with COVID. And so now, at the end of the process, let's say you've gotten the virus out of your system, you're still left with all that damage. And you're not in a position to repair yourself the way you normally would from another disease because it's depleted and killed your mitochondria in the process of replicating itself. So now here we come along and we start talking to your mitochondria via these signals that the formulation sends. And it starts to recover, your mitochondria. And so now it spins everything back up and you got more energy. We talk to people, for example, who just still dragging around, still COVID long hauling, get all that stuff, energy starts coming back and everything, then they stop taking it. They think they're okay now, right? It's like, why did I take this the rest of my life? I'm feeling good now. Right? And then, of course, they're not complete because it's like we're propping you up. You get this? We are propping you up. Your body isn't naturally making you feel that way. So you stop taking this stuff if you want to. You're going to fall back. And then they go back on. So, this is kind of what happens. They stay on it long enough, they really accelerate that progress.
Roger, one thing.
Do you feel this?
Go ahead, Gene.
This has an anti-inflammatory effect?
Yeah, let me tell you what. A lot of the information that you're getting is coming from damaged mitochondria. Okay? Like, you're familiar with the term senescent cells. Cells in senescence come from the root word senile. These cells are not multiplying, and quite often they're actually polluting. They're polluting. And what happened under normal circumstances is that a signal would be sent to tell this cell to recycle. But because things are not working the way they should, you're in a relatively speaking, energy deprived state, relative to when we were younger anyway. You end up accumulating these darn cells. That's one way from generating. Other ways, if you got damage on top of that, you had an injury, you had a disease, what have you, now you got a really, exacerbated situation. So here we come along, we're turning up energy. So now we just turned up your antioxidant production. I talk to people who like now recognize glutathione from the kind of range. And they talk about it like just a master antioxidant, like this is all you need. So I got a simple question. Why do your body make all these other ones? I stopped counting at 9. Okay? So the body makes these antioxidants to be situational. 40% of the glutathione, for example, is in the liver. So apparently an important part of the detoxification process. It's going. And if you look in your bloodstream, believe it or not, uric acid. Okay. So now, by increasing the energy production in all the cells throughout your body, wherever these antioxidants need to be made, you've got the energy to make them. Okay? So it creates a really important change in your cellular environment to get these antioxidants back and have this kind of result happen.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow. Man, powerful stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I thank you so much, Doctor, for speaking with me and taking time from your busy, valuable schedule. This is very profound. You're very, very convincing and, very, like I say, very credible. And so, let's talk again soon. I am running with patients right now today, but maybe tomorrow we can talk again. What do you think?
Judge, when's
give it a try. Get as quickly as you can to the point that you're actually trying to learn some of your folks, and you know what we're talking about for real.
Hey, Dr. Gene, real quick. I was going to say, Roger, could you give Dr. Gene your background? You've worked for both the NASA and Pentagon, correct?
Yes. So that was my IT career, at NASA, and then they recruited me from there and ended up here. That's how I got here to DC. And coincidentally, I worked on the side of the Pentagon where the plane was going to fly into on 9/11.
Oh.
So it was kind of a really interesting experience. And now this technical background lets me be very conversant. And my interest in nutrition and health lets me be very conversant with the formulas and whatnot that we're developing at the same time. Talk to the marketers, talk to my own IT people, building this unique system that we need to be as effective as we need to be.
Roger, in your opinion, Roger, what future studies? I mean, this is groundbreaking. What this does for people that have gone through the COVID, for example, because there's a lot of people out there suffering. It seems like the news needs to be aware of this and bring this to the mainstream public attention. What do you think?
Well, it's getting out the way we need to get it out. We're self-funded. We can't hire a PR firm, But what's occurring right now in this conversation is what needs to happen, at least for where we are right now.
Amen.
But anyway, I too got to run. I'm up against some stuff that I'm already late for.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can break the team tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Thank you, Gene. Roger, let you go. And then I just want to introduce you really quick to Reggie Williams, who's the one that introduced. Have a good day, Roger.
Thank you so much for talking, taking your time. Gene, it was great.
Gene,
very edifying.
Gene, yes, that was amazing. Gene, I want to introduce you really quick to Reggie Williams, who God told him to share this product with me. We hadn't spoken for 3 years. Reggie saved my life sharing this product. Here, so I want to introduce him to you, my stem cell doctor, Reggie, in Dominican Republic.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. Where are you?
I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, you're in Atlanta. So I talked to Seattle, DC, and Atlanta. Wow, we're bouncing like a ping pong ball over North America.
Yes, sir. Oh goodness, well, definitely a pleasure to meet you, man. And yes, some great things are being done with this product.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about it. Now, I just keep thinking you're a baseball player. I bet nobody's ever suggested that to you before.
Football.
Yeah, I got it several times.
Is it football or baseball?
When are you going to come down to the DR? This is a vacation paradise. I live here, man. I've been here for many, many years.
I'm actually, how can I say, I'm doing a lot of ministry stuff first. After we get that, and a lot of I'm in the movie industry and music industry, so we got a lot of projects right now on hand. So I can't, unfortunately, I can't make any vacation promises right now.
Hey, Reggie, can you comment to him, to Dr. Gene, about what a blessing it has been to share this product with so many people?
Oh yeah, it's you know, at the end of the day, when you see, I do Zooms twice a day, and when you hear the testimonies that go forth, it's just, you know, the only other place I experience testimonies like that is at a major faith convention, you know, a healing convention. It's like I've never seen anything except for the power of God move like that, you know. Exactly. So it's just it's amazing. But you know, in the simplicity of it all, right? The Bible says, He said, "I gave you every earth-bearing seed to tend to it," but unfortunately, people just don't, you know, have or get the access to the formulations the way, you know, they should. So he's the second guy I met, the second formulator I met that was actually inspired from above on the measurements on what to do. This wasn't something that was discovered. This was an actual obedience situation. That's how it all came to. So, you know, you know, hey, when you obey, that's what's going to happen.
Reggie, tell Dr. Gene about how God told you to contact me.
Oh yeah, Ryan was a loose cannon before, and I had to literally block him on Facebook. And you know, in my journey, in getting closer with the Lord, I was sitting in my chair, and he just out of the clear blue sky said, "You need to forgive Ryan." And I'm like, "What? You know, I forgive him, no problem. He's good. You know, I ain't gotta." And I knew what he was saying, so I said, "Okay, Lord." So I unblocked Ryan and I called him. And Ryan said, "Hey, Rich." I said, No. Stop right now, because I didn't want to hear none of that fast talk. I said, "Stop." I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "I unblocked you, bro." I said, I said, "But the Lord told me to forgive you." And Ryan said something that was, man, that just totally put an arrow in my heart. He said, "Reggie, I've been going to church now." He said, "Started going to church 3 times a week." He said, "I gave my life to the Lord." Man, when he said that, I crumbled, because it showed me how small my little wit was in this universe. And it just showed me how great God was. And I said, great God is. And I just knew, I said, oh my gosh, here we go. And so then I said, Ryan, I said, listen, I got something for you. And I said, you got it. And, you know, so then I went on to share it with him. And I remember the first day he got it and he called me. He was on the couch. And when he took the product and I saw the look on his face, it was like literally somebody knocked on the door of his mind and he opened it.
Wow.
And he changed from that moment. It was like just a whole new Ryan. He was like, man, I feel this stinging, this stimulant sensation going all through my brain. And he was like, it's going on through my body. And that was the beginning of the change, man. And all I could say is, you know, God is using him for his testimony worldwide.
Reggie, where am I at today? Where am I at today with all this?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I don't even know this guy who I'm talking to now. You want to talk about you don't understand, Doc. Listen, when I tell you Ryan would do anything before to get ahead, because he wasn't in his right mind. Literally was not in his right mind. You know? And so to see him where he is now, I can say that's a man on a mission now. So it's an honor and a greatness, and you know, all honor and glory to Heavenly Father for allowing us to allowing me to, one, operate in forgiveness, and two, I just learned something, So I'm at right now. This is a mission for me. This is my first love, and what I mean, this jumped ahead of the movie business, the music business. I'm in that, but I don't care about none of that. All I care about is what this product is doing for people, because this is physically changing lives. This is saving lives. I had one of my business partner. She had a close friend. His cancer numbers were like 12 or 1,400, something like that. And in just half a month, 15 days of taking this product, his numbers are down to 400.
Wow.
What were they before?
Like 1,200 or 1,400. One of those. I think it was 1,200.
Mm. Well, that sounds like a plan. So
it's the best plan. Dr. Gene, so imagine an extreme case.
As Drake said, God's plan.
God's plan. Hey, Dr. Gene, in closing, what I foresee, just because the profound effects you had on me and the procedure that cannot be done in the United States, where you're actually injecting stem cells through my vein into my brain, because you can see them in the YouTube video that you did for me I watched that on the screen, and I felt I actually felt the stem cells shooting onto my brain. Reggie, as crazy it is, I could feel it. Okay, I was watching it on the video. My arm was strapped down. And anyways, my point is, imagine us taking dementia people or people that have serious brain issues, injecting more stem cells into their brain like this procedure, and then activating it with our product here at MoreMito.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? Anything that you take in your body, our product is going to make it more accessible. It's going to make it wetter. It's like making water wetter. So it's think about it. Well, if the stem cells are all there.
Yeah, exactly. There is a thing, hard water. You're making soft water. I got that. Sure.
Yep. So now it's just an additional benefit for everybody.
That sounds great.
Thank you both for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll talk again tomorrow, Ryan, because today I'm running to the hospital. But this sounds really exciting. I'm so thankful and grateful for the chance to talk to Reggie and Roger. This is just amazing.
Man, God bless.
Thank you. And we'll talk, guys.
Take care. Reggie, one moment, please. Reggie.
Yes, sir.
By